Hello, and welcome to our tutorials for working with Finesse Gadget Designer. In this tutorial, we'll demonstrate how to show or hide components and containers in your projects by adjusting their visibility settings. In this table, we have a button and a list visible on the screen. Once we click on the Show Accounts button, the customer IDs are loaded into the list below. Once we click one of the IDs from the list, the detailed information of the selected customer is rendered in an adjacent frame that was originally not visible, along with the last 5 transactions from the customer that are rendered in the data grid below. In order to design this demo, we'll go to the Designer section and drag a frame onto the canvas, and we'll put the various components on the frame. We'll resize the component for our needs. We'll place a button, a list, and a data grid. We'll drag an additional frame onto our current frame, and then drag a text input that we're going to need into the new frame. I'll select the input and click Copy at the top, and then select the frame and press Paste 3 times as a shortcut to creating more text inputs. Next, we'll select the frame and give it a heading, which will enter Customer Details. Then we can click Show Header. We can now make the header centered, make it bold if we like, or change the text color. Now we'll go ahead and name the label component to read Last 5 Transactions, and change the text color. As we saw in our demo, initially, this frame and the data grid were not visible. In order to hide these components when the application is initialized, we need to uncheck the property Visible on Startup for that particular component. So select the data grid and uncheck Visible on Startup, and then select the frame and do the same. We can resize the text inputs, and we'll go ahead and adjust the height of all of them in the top bar here. Now we can change the label and component ID of all these text inputs. The first we'll name Customer ID. The next will be your account number. Then the next will be account type. And the last one will be account balance. Some of these text fields are not fully visible, so I'm going to change the label widths so we can read the full text. We can also align all the components by selecting all of them and pressing Shift-L and Shift-B to align them into the center of the frame. Now that we've designed the user interface, we have to apply the actions and call our services. So, we'll change the button's name to Show Accounts, and we'll change the component ID to match. So now, we can request our services on the click of this button. We've already created our services, and we'll be using DB services. So select the button, go to Actions, and on the click of the button, we request a service. The service is a DB service, and its name is Show Accounts. Then click Save. The result of this service is displayed in the list. So we have to set the list to listen for the event. Select the list, go to Actions, and from the service events, we choose the Show Accounts event for this trigger. On trigger, this will fill data. Click Save. Since we only need the customer IDs in the list, we need to go to the Properties, and in the Advanced section, in the Label field, we have to enter the field that we want to display. For our demo, this will be Customer ID. If we save and publish our project, we can see how our application appears. We have a button and a list, and when we click on Show Accounts, we have a list in which the customer account IDs are displayed. Let's go back to the project and label the list as customer IDs. And we want the list to display the customer's details on the right when we select a customer ID. To do that, select the list, go to the Actions tab, and add the action Fire Event on the on-click of the list. This event is a manual event, the name of which will be List Click Event. Then, click Save. Then, we can select the frame and go to the Manual event. Once the manual event is fired, we want to change the visibility of the frame to Show. Then, click Save. Now, we need to select the individual text fields. Go to Manual Event, and once the List Click event is fired, we want to fill the event data into these text fields. In the first one, we want the customer ID to be displayed. Similarly, for the next field, go to Manual Event, and do the same. Fill data, but select Account Number. For the next field, the Fill Data filter key will be Account Type. And lastly, the last field will show the account balance. Select the data grid now, go to Actions, and select the List Click Manual event. And as the list is clicked, we want to change the visibility of the data grid to Show, and we want to request a DB service. But the service's name will be Select Debit Card. This service requires a parameter, which will be the component data of our list. So, we'll select our list, and because we only need to pass one parameter and not the complete object, we need to give the value of the object as Customer ID. Click Save. The data grid also listens for this service, so select the data grid, go to Actions, and from the service events, select the Select Debit Card service. Select the action Fill Data, select Event Data, and click Save. We also want the label to be visible when we click on any customer ID on the list. So again, select the label, and go to Actions, select the manual event, and once the manual event is fired, we change the visibility of the label to Show, and click Save. Now, after we save, publish, and refresh our output window, you can see that once I click on Show Accounts, the accounts are displayed in the list of IDs. And if we click on an ID, the customer details are shown up here, and the last 5 transactions of that particular customer are shown below. This is how we can make the components or containers of our project visible in Finesse Gadget Designer. Thank you for watching.